Hello everyone and welcome back into the NONA studio for this week's edition of the NONA Sports Show. I am your host as always, Edgar Rodriguez, pleased to be joined alongside Patrick Deleon once again. Good morning.
Good morning.
My friend, because look, we have a bunch of news to talk about because not only did we have some significant events go on in terms of NONA soccer, but the European season is almost over, Patrick. Only 10 or so games left in the top 5 leagues around Europe, so we're going to give our takes on who's going to win the title, who's going to play in Europe, and who might be getting relegated next season. So lots to cover. But like we said last week, we kind of teased the 2025 Adidas Champions Cup, and we did eventually make it. Traffic on I-4 West was horrendous, but anyway, we made it. We made it after around 2.5 hours on the road, and it was an incredible Saturday.
Yes, it was.
Lots of soccer, left to right and center.
Yeah, I mean, it was so much fun. I mean, a lot of action going on all day. Every game was spaced out between like 40 minutes, so there was always somebody that we had to go to, different fields and all that. But thankfully, a lot smaller of a complex compared to like Disney, right? That was huge. It took a while to walk across, but this a lot easier, a lot nicer, beautiful weather as well. Can't complain at all. A lot of exciting games too. I mean, it was a lot of fun just going, covering, making sure that everybody could see, the teams that were playing. It was a lot of fun for sure.
We worked hard on the stories all day long on Saturday. Suyol did his part on Sunday as well. But of course,
the main game was at the end of the day.
We had to wait until the end of Saturday, but I think it was deserved, right? That we left the best for last. It can't be underestimated. Because NONA played Inter Miami Academy for the first ever time at any level. It was an incredible occasion. I mean, for an under-10s game, I don't think I'd ever seen that many people watch an under-10s game. I mean, it was unbelievable. Our boys balled out. Unfortunately, a 2-0 loss, but what an occasion.
I don't think that scoreline does it justice.
No.
Because it was 0-0 pretty much up until, the last 5 minutes?
Sure.
And, man.
And who scored the first goal?
Anyways, so
Thiago Messi.
But it's funny because the kids, they all knew this was the game
that was the
going
game.
into, right? They want to make a point, prove a point. But man, everybody, Ethan in goal.
Oh,
wow,
what a huge
guy!
performance!
What a guy!
Huge performance!
Just insane. What an exciting game from both sides. It was just nonstop, end to end action. How many times did both teams hit the crossbar or the post?
At least a combined, I want to say 8.
It was just back
from
and
both
forth.
Teams.
Super exciting. But I mean, wow, our boys, they looked the part. They looked like they wanted it more, to be honest with you. It was a super fun game, super exciting. The environment, the atmosphere, everybody's super into it.
Oh my
because it was a big occasion for us.
Absolutely.
So, more than anybody.
Absolutely.
So I'm super proud of how they performed that game. Again, that scoreline doesn't do them justice at all.
That was probably the best performance I've seen from them. And we've seen them hit double digits in games. But I think they played better in this game. I mean, every single time Miami got close to the box,
they had 2-3 guys on every player,
just
shutting
throwing
them down.
themselves at it, not letting anything pass. Like you said, Ethan great in goal. Ricky in the first half was burning his fullback every single time. Arthur had a few half chances here and there. He almost got on the end of a couple opportunities. I mean, I think it's safe to say we dominated the midfield. I mean, our boys in the midfield, both Ales, absolutely held down the fort. And it was tough for them as well because they had games. This was game 2 of 3.
Right.
So mentally, it's difficult. I mean, you see Inter Miami. That's the only game you want to you want to pay attention to. So it was a difficult weekend for them. But when I don't think we'll ever forget it. Right?
No,
it's a huge moment in the Soccer Academy's history. And for those boys, huge experience. I mean, this tournament was high level, tough opponents. And they'll learn a lot from it.
Of course. And again, this was an MLS Academy. Yeah. So this is a great introduction to see what's to come later this year, obviously, after the announcement for MLS Next. It's going to be super exciting to see what future games, what other teams are going to bring, and what those matchups are going to be like as well.
Absolutely. It's a little taste of what's to come. But yeah, an unbelievable occasion. Like we said, the crowd, I mean, around the corner flag. I mean, just random people from other games. We had even rival, like Florida Premier, after the match. We were there. He came up to us. Oh, Ethan, incredible goalkeeper. And we had rival fans, right, coming up to us after that game. It was incredible. And, not to mention, 620 plus people on Instagram Live.
Yes.
So
great
good
job
numbers.
on that.
Yes, I had so much fun calling the game. I know, had a lot of fun on the sidelines, but yeah, huge occasion. Probably the highlight of the weekend,
for sure.
even if we lost. But of course, we can't forget we did have one finalist in Tampa Bay in Brandon, and it was the 2008 Orange 2 team. Speaking of Brandon, Coach Brandon was all over the place all weekend long. He was busy coaching all of his teams, but an unfortunate 2-1 loss to Florida Premier. But at the end of the day, again, I mean, this tournament, hugely, competitive. And to make it to the final is, again, more positive signs.
For sure. And I mean, it's a hard competition. This was a really tough competition. We saw, I mean, so many just really good competitive teams. I mean, and having a finalist, thankfully, it gives them that experience, right? Sure, it might have ended in a way that we didn't want it to, but it still gives them that drive for the future. Okay, they know they can compete. They know they're more than capable of reaching the finals. So they know they were close. It's not like it was a blowout. It was only 2-1.
Exactly.
Something that they should still be proud of, a very close game. But, I mean, yeah, it's unfortunate. We always want to come home with silverware. That should be the standard, right?
Of course.
But, I mean, it can't happen every time, unfortunately.
Right.
But these are lessons you just learn on, and I'm sure all the players will take that
on board.
Pretty well.
On board, yeah. Before we move on from the Adidas Champions Cup, I wanted to just quickly mention my favorite goal, which was that goal, right?
Yes, I already know.
We'll play it now. Palm Beach Wolves, we beat them 1-0. Coach Vinny's side, 2008 Orange. We were right behind that goal. I mean, top bins.
Beautiful.
Golazo.
Beautiful goal. I mean, it was. I think I jumped a little, I was celebrating a little bit.
Good.
It was super good.
And you know what made it better? There should have been a penalty before it.
Thankfully, the ref played advantage. Good sight from him.
Absolutely.
And then, wow. Just watching it
oh my goodness.
Fire. Oh my god.
And for that to be the winning goal too, I mean, we dominated.
That's all you needed. Oh yeah.
Dominated.
It looked like it was only NONA on the field.
Absolutely.
And that's all they needed.
That's all they needed. A banger and 1-0. You go home happy with that one. But yeah, lots of fond memories from that tournament. We hyped it up and it delivered. Let's move on, though, because, of course, we always have to work in USL 2 here. Gunnar Studenoft, he made a move to Huntsville in MLS Next Pro. Now, he started the 2024 USL 2 campaign with us. He played around, I believe, the first 3 games before he went to the Colorado Rapids 2 setup. But he scored his first professional goal. That pass, it was from inside of his own half, so he was onside, and then he just went... Finished it off with conviction.
Yeah, that's all you need, especially as a striker. So huge achievement too. I mean, MLS Next Pro, you're technically professional.
Absolutely.
Technically, yes, you're already playing professional. But it's also like you're just one step away.
That's right.
It's exciting to see where he could possibly go later on in his career. If he can perform really well at Huntsville, many doors will open for him, and it'd be super exciting to see him play in MLS.
Huntsville, of course, affiliated with Nashville.
Yes.
So the gateway is right there.
Possibility. It's a real possibility.
And he has hit the ground running. So all the best to Gunnar Studenoff, the goal machine, Cayman Islands International. I mean, he is set up for
everywhere.
Absolutely. Charles All. He made his pro debut. The Pittsburgh Riverhounds kicking off their season, 1-1 draw away against North Carolina. 54th minute, he saw over 30 minutes of action at the pro level thrown right in. And we have talked about the Riverhounds potentially, usually favorites for the playoffs. Also, I believe he's going to play a massive role for the Riverhounds.
I mean, it's great signs, too, also seeing that he's played, half hour, on his first game. Great signs to come. Surely, I think they're just going to work him in. And if he can perform and really deliver, I wouldn't be surprised to see him starting soon, within a couof weeks as well. It'd be super exciting.
And, of course, Ajakwa at Greenville. We've got Alan Dre in Georgia. I mean, lots of different players to keep an eye on, lots of different teams to follow in the championship and USL 1 this season. And before we forget, we do have a new USL 2 signing for the 2025 season. Marcellus McCoy coming in from Eastern Florida State College. Again, another player bolstering the defense. Coach Bruno has focused on that early on with these signings, and he looks good. 2-time Region 8 champion in high school, 2-time district champion, Florida Player of the Week. He comes in with a good reputation.
Of course, and I mean, these are the guys that we want here in NONA.
That's
and
right.
Especially, we're building a great setup early. Just like
yeah.
you said, we're building the strong defense early, that foundation. For these games, these are it's almost like a gauntlet of games. That's what it feels like.
It is. It's a sprint, man.
Even though it's only 12, it's 12 games from May to July.
They come at you quick.
They come at you quick.
Mm-hmm.
There's some games you only have a couple days of rest in between.
Right.
Some you have a week. So it's really just load management, right? A lot of that. But, this is a great signing also. So we're getting closer. With every single week, we're getting closer and closer.
Right.
So we're only... 2 months away?
Just over 2 months.
Just over 2 months away from the start of USL2. So it's
unreal.
I'm super excited.
Yeah.
I'm super excited for that to get all kicked off. And I can't wait to see what the rest of the team looks like come kickoff.
Absolutely. It's not even anywhere close to being finalized yet. So lots of positive signs. Lots of NONA news this week. We hope you were able to keep track of it all. But we're going to turn our attentions for the next segment to European football. Like we said, it's kind of hitting the home stretch for the top 5 European leagues. So we're going to cover everything you need to know heading into this last portion of the season. Don't go anywhere.
Something new, something fresh, yeah, I'm super obsessed. Let me know when you done messing. A little that, a little this, then you put it to the test. It's all in the expression. It's a mood, it's a vibe, it's a state of mind. And now I want it more. It's a mood, it's a vibe, it's a state of mind. Okay, you got the floor, it's looking good. What kind of like that? What kind of really like that? It's looking good. What kind of like that? Come on, let's see some more. It's looking good. Keep it going, get it right. Not a trouble inside. You can't argue with perfection. Ooh, you working something up with a little bit of luck.
All right, everyone. We are back for segment 2. And like we said, to finish off the first segment, top 5 European leagues, Patrick, coming to an end soon. Of course, in May, so we have around about 2 months left. But we're going to talk about how the title races are looking, European races, and relegation fights. So let's start with the best league in the world, Premier League. The title's gone.
Yeah, no, it's been decided. It was decided weeks ago. Liverpool with 70 points, 21 wins, 7 draws, 1 loss in the Prem so far this year. Come on.
Can we move on?
Yeah, I feel like
Look.
an incredible achievement for Arne Slot, though.
Yeah.
First year at
Congratulations.
Liverpool.
Hand them the trophy.
But it's wraps. I think they know that.
Especially after Arsenal go to Old Trafford and draw a match that...
They're still holding on to that.
What can I say? No. It's been wrapped up for weeks.
Yes, it has.
That 1-1 draw at Old Trafford cements it. So congratulations to Liverpool. Just to talk about that game, because it was a huge game, Fernandes scoring off of a direct free kick, Trossard clumsy foul right on halftime. We know Fernandes loves a free kick right outside the area. He did what he does best. 1-0 United after we dominated the run of play. Declan Rice, good finish. At the end of the game was so sloppy though. Rice had to come in with a crunching challenge. I think Gabriel also had one. It could have gone either way, but 1-1, whatever. Liverpool get the Premier League title. Top 4.
Well, even if you won that game, it wouldn't have made a difference.
No, yeah. We would have been able to kind of hang on a little something.
No. Anyways,
what
Arsenal is competing for is Champions League, and I think they'll be comfortable.
Realistically, we're in.
I don't see you
no.
In 10 games, okay, because we look at the table: Arsenal, Forest, Chelsea, right?
There's no way.
Yeah, no. Arsenal, I think will finish second or third, for sure.
No, we finished second.
You guys will.
We finished second.
I think the real question is just who gets that last Champions League spot.
Sure, absolutely.
So Chelsea. Because if you look at the table, it's pretty close from Chelsea downwards. Chelsea, Manchester City 2 points behind them at 47. Brighton at 46. Villa at 45. Realistically, it's going to come down to those 4 teams chasing that last Champions League spot or that Europa League spot. But I feel like Chelsea might be able to pull it off, though.
Ooh, yeah,
I don't want to see them in Champions League, but
beat
they
Leicester
might be able
at
to.
home. And like you said, only 7 points separate Fulham in 10th to Chelsea in 4th. Forest in? Are forwards going to make a Champions League return, do we think?
Yes, absolutely.
think so.
They have to.
Beat
They're
City
so
last
close. Huge 3-pointer,
Yep.
which has brought them into that third place. Huge 3 points.
Yeah.
I would love to see them in Champions League next year.
I think
for
the
sure.
City ground is going to have Champions League football. It's going to
That's going to be mental. Similar,
yeah.
I feel like similar to how we saw Newcastle return to Champions League a couple years ago.
It's going to be that
but
same
maybe
buzz.
even more exciting
Yeah.
because this is also Forest that have been out of the Premier League for such a long time,
Wow.
right? Recently making a return in the last couple of years, and now this is arguably one of the best, if not the best season that they've ever had.
Absolutely.
In modern football.
Yeah, exactly. It's going to be an incredible return to Champions League. I think they'll hold on.
Yes.
I mean, they've showed enough this season and more to convince me that they are Champions League quality this season. Another question I have, is City going to qualify for the Champions League? Or is Manchester City, it's a realistic possibility, they will be playing UEFA Europa League football? And how crazy
that's a
is
real possibility, right? Because
how
this
crazy
year,
is it to say that?
pretty crazy. Because
Yeah.
when have we seen them? I feel.
Oh my god.
Have they?
I don't
it's
think
just-
they've not in modern times.
It's
Maybe
just-
UEFA Cup, but
it's like
yeah.
it's almost like unfathomable because
Europa
we're
League.
so not used to seeing them again. 5th place for us, like that's really low for Manchester City. It's like what are they doing all the
Yes.
way down there? But that's a real possibility right now that Pep needs to figure out. He needs to get his guys together and get going for this last stretch of games because they know that realistically there's only one, again, like I said, one Champions League spot left that I feel to fill in, and they're gonna have to compete with Chelsea for that.
Yeah, and Chelsea haven't been the best recently. But, I mean, what can we say about City? Like, we can say the same exact thing about City. So, 2 points behind Chelsea right now, not much in it.
Yeah.
But, I mean, you have Newcastle breathing down your neck. You have a team like Bournemouth. Who knows if they can squeeze a European spot out. Brighton, Fulham, Villa. I mean, they're all in it. And City are embroiled in that fight. So, nothing is determined in the top 4 race. Things are determined in the relegation race. Southampton have been down since week 1. There was never a glimmer of hope, unfortunately, for the South Coast side.
2 wins, 3 draws, 23 losses.
Oh, my days.
9 points on the season.
That tells you all you need to know. Oh,
Ouch.
my goodness. Horrendous season for Southampton. Leicester City gone, I would say. I mean, Ruud van Nistelrooy went in there. But you cannot go a run of games, 5 Premier League home games without scoring. Right? They've lost the last 6 at home, 4 2-0 losses. I mean, just absolutely ridiculous.
4-2.
4 2-0 losses, 1 3-0 and 1 4-0. You're not going to stay up with that.
No,
You're just
no.
not. And no signs point towards a shift in momentum. I mean, Vardy, yes, he's a goal scorer, but he can't really do much when he has no support.
And he's not the same Vardy he
No,
was
exactly.
a couple 10 years ago.
We can't expect that
You
from him.
cannot.
No. So then
Ipswich.
Yeah, Ipswich, which. They'll believe they
Maybe.
can stay up, but Wolves, after
They're
they
still-
change their manager, I think have enough to stay up.
Yeah, and Ipswich, they're still 6 points behind Wolves.
It's tough.
That's hard to
Yeah, it is.
close on because you have to just bet on so many other results to go your way.
Mm-hmm.
It's a shame though because these are teams that just got promoted
For
and
the
now they're going to go
second time
straight
in
back
this-
down.
Yeah, for the second time in a row in the Premier League.
But what does that
Yeah.
tell in terms of just the gap in quality
Yeah,
for the Prem
absolutely.
and
I mean,
the Championship?
Sure.
It's so hard to create a
It
team
is.
that can stay up.
It is. Unfortunately, that is the reality right now in English football. Yes, okay, the last 2 seasons, the championship sides haven't been able to compete. But, I mean, we have seen close relegation fights years in the past now, but
Yeah, but it feels
recently-
like these are
recently right now, it's
decided
just
by the
a yo-yo.
by December. It feels like we already know who's going to go down.
Unfortunately, that is the case, but and then West Ham are 10 points, so they're safe.
Yeah.
Just really only. I don't even think there is a fight. Even
No,
as
there's not
as
much
much
to
as
talk
we would
about
like
there.
to frame it that way.
There's not.
There's not a fight.
We just know that's the reality. Realistically, those 3 teams, Ipswich, Leicester, and Southampton, they're going to go straight back down.
Yeah, they will be playing Championship football next season most likely. Let's move over to Spain though, because unlike in the Premier League, there is a
Title
3-horse title race in La Liga. Barcelona on 57 right now, unfortunately could not play last weekend due to tragic circumstances. A medical staff member passing away before the Osasuna game, so they didn't play. But so they're on 57. Real Madrid on 57 after beating Rayo Vallecano. golazo from Vinny. A solo goal. I mean, unbelievable talent he is. And then Atletico Madrid go to Getafe and lose 2-1. I mean, what?
No, you cannot be doing that.
No.
Not now, not in this
not
stretch
now,
of the
man.
season, not when the title race is so close. This is literally, wow. I don't know who could win this.
Yeah,
who can win this?
It's tough.
It's so close. It feels like whenever you expect one team to get that result, they don't.
Yeah, exactly.
And then the other two capitalize. And it's like a never-ending cycle. So
Yeah.
it's like they're always just moving. So nobody can maintain that consistency of just getting the result, the 3 points or the point that they need, you know?
You know those videos that like show the team's like position throughout
Yeah,
the
it's
season?
like the graph.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, La Liga's going to look ridiculous.
Oh my gosh.
That top 3 is going to look ridiculous at the end of the season. And for Atleti, I mean, that's a huge loss because amidst this run of form where they're playing Barca multiple times, they're playing Real Madrid in the Champions League multiple times, Getafe was supposed to be the easy game, but we know away at Getafe is never easy. They had the 1-0 lead, but then an 88th and a 92nd minute goal for Getafe shocks Simeone's side. And I mean, that's just devastating for their title hopes. But again, Barca have a chance at home against Osasuna. You would think they open up another 3-point gap whenever they play again. Top 4 race, I mean, okay, top 3 are in. Athletic Bilbao, pretty safe in 4th, would you say?
I would say so. The only real threat would probably be Villarreal. But either way, I still think Athletic Bilbao, they can just maintain their position. This season. They should be fine,
Yeah,
I feel.
they've
They've
been
really solid this year
They have. And then we have Betis in 6th, probably, safe from Mallorca in 7th. So Real Betis, Anthony's. Real Betis, we have to always say that now. That is the caveat there. They will surely be playing European football.
And he's been a great addition for them as well.
Absolutely, that's not a joke.
It's funny because, we saw his time at Manchester United.
Days, yeah.
It just didn't go the way, I guess, he would have really liked it to. Now he makes the move to Betis. And now it seems like he's found himself again, and that's super exciting to see because he's a solid player. When he's
on form,
he's on form, he's a great player.
Why
so I'm
not?
sure Betis fans are super happy with him.
Yeah, I'm sure they are. Looking at the bottom of the table, though, R9's Valladolid. Of course, he has a stake in the club. They're gone, really. 11 points from safety.
Yeah.
There's no really hope for them. It's kind of like the Southampton equivalent. Then we look at the race. So then Las Palmas 19th, just 3 points from safety. They're in the fight, but it goes all the way up to Valencia in 16th. Valencia, which...
Espanyol, really, because they're also tied on 27.
True, sure.
So.
Yeah, you're right. Espanyol in 15th. Only 1 point separates Espanyol in 15th to Deportivo Alaves in 18th.
A much more intriguing relegation race
absolutely.
than the Prem right now.
So, I mean, you would say Las Palmas probably won't have enough.
Right.
But then you look at the likes, like we said, Espanyol, Valencia, Leganés.
And the thing is, Valencia, they've been really close to getting relegated in recent
Multiple
times, which is almost like shocking in a way because they're not one of the, say, the biggest or best teams in Spain on a consistent basis, but they're up there. They always at least make it, top 10. They can compete for those, spots for European competitions. But man, the last couple of years, we've seen them at the bottom, near the bottom of the table, really close to getting relegated.
Scraping by.
This year, no different. We're going to see if they can pull it off as well because it'll be probably big headlines if they go down.
True. But probably the favorites to go down, along with Valladolid and Las Palmas, will be Alaves or Leganés. So we'll see. But there is a fight in the relegation zone, unlike the Premier League. Unfortunately. But that's enough of La Liga, Patrick. Let's go to Deutschland for the Bundesliga. Oh,
title race.
Hey, Bayern, you're back. That's what I wrote in my notes because they are 8 points ahead of Leverkusen. For the first time in over, I want to say 10, 15 years, Bayern, Leverkusen, and Dortmund all lost on the same match day.
Oh, wow.
Incredible. But that doesn't really change anything.
I mean, but let's take a look past the title race because that's already decided. I think we could say that.
Yeah, Bayern back.
Now we can look at Champions League. We have an interesting team sitting at third. Mainz, similar.
Wow.
It's very similar to how we saw Stuttgart make Champions League last year.
And finished second last year. They finished Bayern.
Second. Now we see Mainz kind of taking that role, that underdog role again.
The Nottingham Forest in Germany.
Of course. Yeah. And, I mean, hats off to them. 13 wins, 5 draws, 7 losses, 44 points on the season. sitting not pretty comfortably, but sitting at third right
But they're
now.
sitting there, and
But with Freiburg and Frankfurt right behind them, they're only real threats, I'd say, for the remainder of the season.
But here's the thing.
Yeah.
Frankfurt have lost 3 in a row. So they are in danger of even falling out there, and we could potentially have Freiburg and Mainz make it, because we've seen Leipzig as well haven't been overly, impressive.
We've seen better out of them.
Absolutely.
Both
So
in Europe and in Germany.
yeah, and it's only 4 points from Freiburg to Gladbach in 9th. So again, huge fight. The Bundesliga is very compact in that little top half.
Isn't that interesting to see that Dortmund isn't even in the run of play for these?
No.
Any of this, which is shocking.
They might have a Napoli season where they don't play Europe next year.
Yeah, and that's something I'm not used to seeing, because you almost always see them at least in Champions
The
League
yellow and black.
every year. And they're sitting at 10th, and they've had a really mediocre year.
Yeah,
really
managerial
really bad year.
changes, just a whole load of nonsense going on
Yeah.
around the club, which has clearly had an effect on the pitch. So
Yeah.
Dortmund, no Champions League for you, unfortunately, or even Conference League. Like,
No,
I don't think they'll make it.
they're so far behind that it doesn't feel realistic right now,
Yeah.
unless they manage to just pull off a run of just a winning streak for the next few games.
But knowing
potentially,
Dortmund-
but knowing that
Knowing
that's not,
Dortmund, that is
probably not realistic.
very unlikely. Relegation picture is interesting.
Yes.
Heidenheim just got knocked out of the Conference League. They were playing Europe this season, Heidenheim. Another surprise package from last year. They got knocked out by Copenhagen 4-3, so they were competitive in the Conference League, but they sit last in the Bundesliga, 6 points away from complete safety. They look kind of doomed.
I think unfortunately they're gonna go back down to the second Bundesliga.
Yeah.
They're sitting at the bottom of the table,
Yeah.
16 points. And the thing is, there's only one real competitor, I think, to escape relegation right now, being Bochum.
Yeah, Bochum.
And they're going to be playing, they're going to be competing against the likes of St. Pauli to stay up, because after that, Union Berlin, 6 points ahead of Bochum. There's only one spot. And we have to remember that in Bundesliga,
Yes.
relegation playoffs. So
Yes.
Bochum are in a spot that they prefer to be in. Not necessarily they want to be in that
Right.
spot, but a lot better than going automatically down for them.
Two things on Bochum. First, they beat Bayern
They
at
beat
the
Bayern,
Allianz.
huge 3 points.
Yeah, they made a managerial change and only one loss in their last 5 games. So I wouldn't be surprised if Bochum and St. Pauli swap. Also, the last match day in the Bundesliga is St. Pauli-Bochum. So it might go down to the very last whistle of the season. Lots to look forward.
Insane.
Yeah.
That's a game to watch.
Absolutely. But they do still have to play Frankfurt, Leverkusen, and Mainz.
Still,
It's
top
a
battle,
very tricky. Very tricky.
Very tricky.
We would say Holstein Kiel probably gone as well with Heidenheim
Yeah.
automatically. But St. Pauli and Bochum, that is going to go down right to the wire. It's going to be so fun. The relegation fight in the Bundesliga right up until match day 34, because of course Bundesliga is 18 teams.
Yes.
But yeah, good luck to Bochum though. Good luck
course.
to Bochum. It would be good to for them to stay up. Same with St. Pauli, a traditional German club. They've enjoyed their time in the Bundesliga, but it's looking tough.
It's looking
tough.
really
And in the
tricky.
playoff though, usually the Bundesliga team wins. So there's a potential that both of them stay up. So all to play for in the Bundesliga. All to play for. How about some Calcio now? Serie A, 3-horse race again for the title.
This is
Inter
another
Milan
close
lead
one.
it though, and they will be favorites.
I do think Inter Milan will pull it off.
I think so.
Personally, I see Atalanta is still only 3 points behind Inter.
4-0 win against Juventus. My
huge.
goodness.
Huge. However, I'm gonna have to write off Atalanta off just a little bit.
It'll give them a
I
boost,
think-
but I think Inter,
I think it's gonna come down to Inter and Napoli, only because the point separates them. But I feel like yes, the favorites for this 100% is gonna be Inter.
Yeah.
I think that's kind of without a doubt.
I think so.
It looks close, but I think we know that Inter can pull it off.
And it's interesting because, of course, all these teams are embroiled in a round of 16 matchup right now in the Champions League. And we've seen them struggle. Not just Inter, but AC Milan, teams in Spain, teams in England. We saw Liverpool concede first against Southampton, right? We've seen them struggle because they are in the middle of kind of having to balance, okay, league, what do we prioritize, league or Champions League, right? So Inter Milan, will it hurt them that they're going to probably make a deep run in the Champions League is that going to give an edge to Napoli potentially? Antonio Conte's Napoli, we know how well drilled they are under Conte. I think this might go down to the last match.
It definitely could, absolutely could
Yeah.
go down to the last couple games. I wouldn't be surprised if we get the deciding game on the second to last or the last match
Yeah.
day. You're right. I mean, Champions League, they have to think about that as well. How are they going to manage the load for both campaigns going on? But I think they've done a good job so far compared to other teams that are in the run in both domestically and Champions League. I think they've done really good so far. So I wouldn't be surprised if they can still be just fine coming later down the road.
We will have to wait and see, because that is going to be an incredible race. But yeah, I do think Atalanta will eventually kind of weed themselves out of the league title race. So for top three are in, right? Juventus, though, I mean, what a horrendous performance at home against Atalanta. They hadn't lost at home like that 4-0 since like the 60s.
Yeah.
So that just shows you. I mean, they're a mess at the moment. There's no getting away from that. Just 2 points ahead of Lazio and Bologna, just behind them. But I would watch out for Roma, Patrick, because Claudio Ranieri, talk about steadying the ship. I mean, 12 matches unbeaten in Serie A.
Ooh,
That is form that can easily propel them not just into Europa League, but potentially Champions League.
Potentially. I mean, it's not a crazy shot considering how inconsistent Juventus has been this season. It's not crazy. I mean, well, Juventus 13 wins, 13 draws, and then 2 losses. So, but it feels
that's not even impressive.
It doesn't feel like it is, because a lot of that has been dropped points.
Especially with everything else going on, not getting knocked out of Coppa Italia by Empoli, getting knocked out of Champions League. Not even close to being in the conversation for the Scudetto. I mean, it's been horrendous for Juventus all around. I want to see Roma in the Champions League.
For sure. I
Claudio
mean,
Ranieri.
And think of also this, AC Milan. We might not see them in Europe next year.
I like making parallels, right? So, are we saying Milan are the Dortmund of Italy this season?
For this year? Unfortunately,
yes.
It might seem that way.
Oh, man.
They're also really inconsistent. I don't really like how the coach has managed, the squad. I feel like there has been some really interesting decisions in terms of, substitutions and games that I feel like have come and affected them in the long run. Not smart by any means, I feel. So, and I know they're looking for a new sporting director as well. So maybe this season was just kind of a rebuild almost.
True.
Hopefully next season they come back locked and loaded, ready to go.
Their problem is they had a huge January.
Yes.
They brought in some big names. They put the pressure on themselves, and they have not delivered so far. I mean, Sergio Conceição, of course, the new manager, came in, won the Supercopa, I believe. Yes, Supercopa in Saudi. Had the cigar in his mouth and was like, I'm the guy.
It felt like, right, oh, wow, okay, AC Milan, they're going to make a run for the money.
It looks like they got a bit too complacent too early on, and it's hurt them in Serie A.
Yes.
They have been disappointing. Again, having to come back late to get the 3 points last weekend, but, I mean, lots of problems as well for AC Milan. The relegation fight, Patrick, I mean, talk about a mud fight, just a slug. None of the bottom 3 teams have won in their last 5 games.
Oof, yeah.
No one's picking up points down there. Monza's gone, 10 points from safety.
Venezia, they're probably gone too.
Venezia have nice kids, but I think they'll be playing Serie B.
I think the only team here is going to be Empoli that can't compete because they're 2 points behind Parma 17th.
And 3 behind Lecce. Right.
Yeah, 3. And then, I mean,
Verona and Cagliari,
I think they might be okay.
Are under threat, though, of getting embroiled.
They're there, but I think they'll be okay. It's really going to come down to, I think, Empoli and see if they can probably swap places with Parma or whoever it falls in 17th.
So here we go, though. You want to hear this? Venezia. Let's look at a run of games that they have between match day 31 and 33. At Lecce, at home against Monza, and at Empoli. So they play all those teams.
Yeah.
And that's going to be huge because if they
total dogfight.
If they can pick up points, they might propel themselves.
They could absolutely jump back into the conversation of staying up. Ooh,
that's going to be huge, man.
It's one of those really relegation is always so tricky to navigate because especially when you have matchups like this where they start playing against each other in that bottom sector of the table, it becomes a real dogfight. It's gutsy.
And those games are
It's brutal.
violent.
Yes.
Yeah.
The tempers are flaring because nobody wants to go down.
Exactly.
It's going to be very interesting to see how all of this looks by the end of the season.
Unfortunately for Monza, though, just to quickly touch on them, if anyone watches Formula One, if you have a track that's more famous than your football club, unfortunately, that's a bit of a damning sign. F1 starting next week. I'm very excited for that. Anyway, let's stick on football. That's enough of Serie A. Let's go to Ligue 1, where don't even bother with the title, right? 16 points ahead. PSG, they haven't lost the game. They might go invincible, which, I mean, kind of loses its glamour a little bit in France, right? Top four, Marseille looks settled in second. But then, if you look to third, from third to seventh, Nice to Strasbourg, only 6 points separate them.
A lot of competition. You have Champions League, Conference League, and Europa League, obviously. It's going to be very interesting to see Nice make Champions League.
Sure.
If they can hold on to that, that's a real possibility. That'd be super exciting to see them. Kind of in a similar story. Now we have that's like the Mines and the Forest in France.
Exactly.
I love seeing these other clubs get the opportunity to do well and go up into Champions League. So it's going to be super, super fun. Of course, Monaco right behind them, breathing down their necks with 2 points. But I think it's pretty telling enough if Nice are still above them so far into the season. It's going to be very interesting to see how they can navigate these last few weeks.
I wanted to highlight Lyon.
Yes.
Because Paulo Fonseca, right? How can I word this? Controversial character on the sideline sometimes. Did you see what happened?
Yes, I did. How is that going to affect them for the rest of the season year?
Does that open the door for Strasbourg? Paulo Fonseca won't be on the sidelines for 9 months.
I think that's a bit excessive.
I think he deserves it, Patrick, because he got right up in the face of the referee.
9 months, though. I wouldn't mind, I guess,
set down a marker
until the end of the season. But we've seen worse get less.
Sure, but I think this was a perfect opportunity that Ligue 1 took to set precedent. Don't do that again.
That's fair. I understand, but I feel like, to the end of the season's fine. Not 9 months, because that bleeds into practically, we're in March.
Yeah.
That's until the end of the year.
But, I mean, how are things going to change, though? We've seen players get more physical.
I understand.
Not physical, but more, I guess, aggressive towards referees. We've seen
I understand.
The same happened with a few managers. I think Ligue 1 took a stance.
That's fine. I have
no problem with
I just think, personally, 9 months is a long time.
It is a long time.
But now it makes an interesting conversation to see how is Lille going to adapt. How are they going to adapt? Yeah. I think it absolutely opens the door for Strasbourg and Lyon right behind them. Remember, Lyon was fighting relegation last year. Do you remember that?
That's right.
And now they're back to where they should be, which is good to see.
It was kind of like an Ajax situation. I mean,
it would have been very interesting to see them go down.
Imagine that.
But I think this opens doors now. I think other teams will take notice and be like, okay, they have to capitalize on this because they know Lille's not going to be necessarily as structured, you think, as they were before.
Right. So it's going to be interesting to see whether Strasbourg might be able to find themselves in Europe next season. In terms of relegation, Montpellier, they're gone. They're gone. 7 points out. Of course, Ligue 1 made a transition to 18 teams. So, again, we had the relegation playoff picture situation happening. But let's look further up. Nantes in 14th, all the way down to Saint Etienne in 17th. They're all in the fight. There's just 4 points in it.
Yeah, no, and it's going to be very close. I mean, Reims?
I think it's Stade Reims.
I can't pronounce any of these teams. I need my friend who's French to come and help me out on this.
But here we go. Now that you brought them up, actually, before you touch on them, 14 league games without a win.
Oof.
They are right above Le Havre.
Le
Havre. So they're just above them. I think they get pulled into this fight because
for sure
14 without a win is rough.
How do you pronounce this? Nantes?
Yeah, Nantes.
Okay.
Don't overcomplicate it. Nantes.
This is why I don't watch French football because I can't pronounce it. But they're still, I think, they're there.
Yeah.
I think that's the cutoff though.
Yeah,
because
sure.
after that, Angers, I don't know, is 3 points clear of Nantes. So I think from 14th to 17th is the real conversation here. Can be pretty tricky. Again, relegation playoffs, of course. Usually we see the League One team stay up.
Right.
I don't really know how I feel about the transition from going to 20 to 18.
Me neither.
I think, but it is what it is.
Yeah.
So I think it just makes it all the more prestigious to stay up in League One
Absolutely.
because now there's less room for error.
I guess they probably said, okay, let's change something around.
They got
the
bored.
title's never a conversation, apart from Monaco winning that 1 year, and then Montpellier were the other team, I believe. Unless Nice won it 1 year, maybe. But it's always PSG. I mean, that's the point. But Montpellier,
Lille
seeing them down
won
there.
like 4 or 5 years ago.
That's what I was going to say.
Yeah.
So Monaco, Lille, and Montpellier, who sit last, are the only 3 teams who have won it in the last, 15 years, aside from PSG. So they probably saw that as an opportunity to maybe switch things around. Has it worked? I don't know. No one is really watching Ligue 1 just because of a relegation playoff. You know what I mean? So yeah. I think that about covers
most. I think we got everything.
5 European leagues.
I think so. And I mean, if we want to talk about European leagues, I think the most exciting one right now would have to be Spain.
La Liga, 100%.
I think La Liga is going to be the most exciting one.
Those 3 teams, which we can't say the same about Serie A, those 3 teams are going to be fighting until match day 38, until the last whistle.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Unless they go on generational stinkers, right? Exactly. And then they just drop points. And then we see themselves distancing.
Yeah.
I don't see that happening.
I don't see that happening.
I think it's going to come down to the wire.
It's carried on for too long now.
Yeah, it's got to come down to the wire.
To think that it's all of a sudden going to be like, oh, this team is going to run away with it. La Liga is where to watch if you want an exciting, title race.
Yeah.
Relegation fight, I think Bundesliga is intriguing.
Bundesliga a lot closer, I think, than all these other leagues. So
absolutely.
I think those are the picks here for this one.
Here we
but
go.
To me, I'm curious to see how La Liga plays out at the end of the season.
It's going to be so fun to watch these last 10 games play out. But having said that, that is the end of this week's edition of the NONA Sportscast. Maybe you can cover the Australian Third League next week.
Oh, yeah. We'll see.
We saw those scenes. That was crazy,
yes.
wasn't it? But anyway, from Patrick, from myself, from NONA Studio, thank you all so much for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, watch, share, all the YouTube talk. See you next week. And also podcast coming up this week. Fabio will be back. Finally. So stay tuned for that. Take care.